What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. Late night here in London town, post-game therapy yet again. The New York Jets lost 13-11 just because they have to find a way to lose every way imaginable. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of angry Jet fans, including myself and Connor right now. How you doing? How you feeling? The Jets are 0-6.
0-6, not a great feeling. This is my last, the battery on the iPhone, which is me. I'm the battery of the iPhone, is on 1%. I'm sure you guys out there feel even more exhausted. And but we had to get this one in because people need the post-game therapy. And, here we are again. Another loss, a very different kind of loss, but more of this new staff being outclassed in a lot of different ways. And, I'll jump right into it. I think that what becomes very frustrating is you watch the game and you pick out what you have a problem with. And this is a day where I thought the defense played very well.
Yep.
I thought the special teams played very well. They got help in the return game, in the punt game. They made their field goals. I'll get it right off the top that I don't think Nick Folk has the 62-yarder in his bag. I want to make clear that I had no problem with that decision. The defense was stout against the Denver run game. It felt like the corners relatively were sticky enough in coverage. They got some pass rush with Jermaine back, and the tape will tell the whole story. But the offense was, what's even the word to say?
Zach Wilson era bad. Worse, maybe.
Yeah, Zach Wilson against the Patriots, bad. That kind of bad. Although even more afraid to make a mistake, just holding the ball and getting sacked over and over again. And a coach that somehow, some way, does himself no favors in the post-game presser every single time. And
makes it as hard on himself as possible.
As he just turns up the difficulty to hard, extreme, elite, whatever you want to call it, for those that play EACFB Heisman difficulty. And I feel like I have to caveat this every show because people get angry and just start yelling at us on every social media platform, wherever it may be. I'm not advocating for the new regime to be fired right now. That's not the point. I don't know what's going on over there that this is the strategy in the post-game presser. I thought the exchange with him and Kaz was embarrassing, quite frankly.
Yep.
Kaz asked a fair question, basically just asking about the status of Fields, and Glenn didn't think it was a fair question. Justin Fields was as bad as you could be today in this league. And I, in my heart of hearts, believe if the Jets moved to Tyrod Taylor, not in the second half, but just in the fourth quarter, they probably have a pretty good shot of getting a field goal to win this game. But what's done is done. You don't want to do too much hindsight. It's just tough to go on here because the reason this one I think is more aggravating maybe than any of the other ones, besides the Steelers game, which they just gave away entirely, is that a lot of guys in that locker room deserve to win today. The guys in the defensive side of the ball, the guys in special teams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Honestly, say what you want about the offensive line. That wasn't perfect, and that's not going to happen against Nick Bonito, who's one of the best pass rushers in this league, and that front that's highly paid to be very good. But they were fine. They gave Justin Fields enough time, and it just wasn't enough today. And the coach did not have, let's use a golf phrase, like he didn't have a different club to pull out of the bag. He just kept doing the same thing over and over again, and rather than kind of giving himself a little bit of a grace period in the presser, he just chooses to kind of treat everybody like they're the idiots. And I am sitting here, and you probably hear the annoyed, tone I'm speaking with as somebody that woke up at 5 a.m. to go cover this team. And I love my job. I didn't care that I worked Big Ten last night, slept for 4 hours, and, went down to the city because I love covering this team. But I don't like feeling like everybody in the media or everybody in the fan base is an idiot because they question some things with this team right now, and it makes it that much worse.
This game was there to be won today. You got everything you needed for the upset, right? Denver sleepwalks. You win the turnover battle. You win the special teams battle. Bo Nix didn't have it today.
No.
Denver was extra conservative, I think, and kind of turtled because they didn't think Fields could move the ball. And the game management is just inexplicably bad. And there's no theory of the case. There's no overall identity or strategy. They're just ping-ponging decision to decision. And I thought Garrett Wilson said it well after the game. He's like, what is the plan? I didn't know the plan. You could hear the frustration in his voice because, like, what
he said
are
he was
doing?
disappointed when he found out the plan.
Yes, and I'm surrounded. I watch this game surrounded by people who are casual football fans or seeing their first football game, and it doesn't take a trained eye to be like, what the hell was that to end the half? And what is this quarterback doing? And just seeing some of the reactions from other people, Damian Woody, some other people who are more measured like us, I think, with their commentary, that just reacting to how Fields was playing this game, which was petrified and clearly overwhelmed. It was just right there. It was a very easy fix. Making an in-game switch to your veteran, competent backup is why you have him on the roster. Doesn't mean you're benching Fields for the rest of the season.
No,
that's why you have him.
You're allowed to make a move. It's not against the rules.
He didn't have it today. Everyone could see that. Something's off. He didn't want to run. He didn't want to get hit. He could not throw the ball. There were guys open. That's why I'm less mad about Engstrand, although I'll get to some stuff with him at the end.
Tough day for Engstrand.
He did not have it. You put in Tyrod Taylor, you probably leave with a win. And then they had no idea what they were doing for the half. I don't know if Aaron Glenn knows he's allowed to challenge plays, and you don't need to call a timeout to discuss whether you're going to challenge or not, and then not challenge it, and then punt it anyway. So, you're going for it with the fake punt, but then you're not, because Fields can't run the extra half yards to get the first down, so you're punting it anyway. And then at the end of the game, I was sitting there with PK. They're at the 47. They have a first down. The game is there to be won. They need 7 yards to kick a field goal. Nick Folk made a 58-yarder in Miami this year. You get to the 41-yard line, that's a 58-yarder. It's 1st and 10. Just forward.
You're right.
Justin Fields is having the worst passing game I've seen since Zach Wilson, and you drop him back in the pocket on first down, and he takes a sack for a 4-yard loss. So now you have to throw on second down, throw on third down, and get stuck throwing on fourth down with Garrett Wilson hurt and off the field, Mason Taylor blocking, and Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, and Reynolds on the route. You had no chance. You actually may have had a better chance of a 60-year-old Nick Folk making that kick. But the point is, on first down, run the same 2-yard play to Brees you've been running all day. Run it 3 times in a row. You're at the 40-yard line. If you lose on Nick Folk missing a 55-yard field goal, it sucks, but it's better than dropping back Justin Fields to take more sacks.
On 4th and 8.
Or again, I don't want to – I like how Garrett has carried himself, and I like seeing some of the other guys get frustrated today. So Membu actually like a little bit of an outburst. I feel like a frustration. If you in the building when Fields was holding it on one of the reps towards the end of the game, like you could see they played with the right energy today. You can feel it on defense. They benched Tony Adams. Moore is good. Jermaine's back. He has a sack. Brownlee's flying around.
Yeah, Brownlee was great.
This was not everyone showed up, brought it, and did their job today, except for Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn. And to an extent, Tanner Engstrand. Sherwood, that's another question and problem. I just schematically just not there right now. I don't think that was an effort thing today. But you have to be able to get 7 yards and kick a game-winning field goal there. How you drop him back in the pocket there is you have no feel for the game and what's going on in the game. The guy had 46-yard passing, negative net 10, sacked 9 times, would not throw the football. I cannot believe he found a way to lose in that situation. Even I, who's watched all these losses and do all these therapies, it was right there, man. How are you dropping that guy back 4 straight times after watching that all game? It's actually insane to me, and that's why you are hearing and seeing some of this frustration. And it shouldn't be coming from Aaron Glenn to the beat, who's asking if you're going to bench a quarterback who's been terrible. The Jets' offense has been objectively terrible since week 1. It's a very rational conversation. So bad form from AG, and Justin Fields was horrific today. And yet the other guys in the locker room are going to be frustrated because the offensive line was not that bad today, but he's making them look bad, and it's tough, man. That I don't know if it would have hurt less just to have the standard 30-10 loss, because you could have very easily walked out of there with a win today and said, hey, maybe we figured out something on defense. Hey, maybe Banjo's got his shit together on special teams. But you're just coaching at an intellectual disadvantage right now. There's no thought into how they're approaching it. And it's just very harsh learning on the job right now. So that's where I left, particularly frustrated with the head coach and the quarterback with today's effort.
Yeah, as you should be, right? I think it's one where, number one, Aaron Glenn he's in over his head right now. We can all sit here and admit that. And we all want him to grow and learn on the job. He has played all of his cards wrong. And he honestly, if he came in you could have like the hard ass demeanor, but if you came in with a little bit more understanding that there's going to be growing pains and it's going to take a little while, and you give just a little less tension at the podium going back to summer, I think right now the tone of the media around him and the team would be more sympathetic than any other feelings. I really believe that. I think that because this was a like the players stood up today. They did.
Yep.
The defense played well. Wilkes really needed some kind of decent performance from his defense, and he got it. And, the special teams made enough plays to give you a little boost, which you always need because you're just not good enough to live without it. You fell on a fumble.
Finally, thank God.
It's just, you had everything there. And you're right. I don't even think we're nitpicking his decision making, like calling the timeout and then making the wrong choice to punt on 4th and 1.
Just lighting timeouts on fire. Like, what are we doing?
And then right in the beginning of the presser, you bring up Detroit again. You're not.
No one wants to hear it anymore. Yeah,
no one believes you. And think of all the differences. Whether it's that Detroit that year drafted Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round, or the Detroit that year, Dan Campbell puffed his chest out and said, "This is who we are, and I don't care. I'm going to go for it on my own side of the field all the time. I'm playing with house money. It's my first year on the job. I inherited the Detroit Lions. They're the laughing stock of the league. I don't care." And did it always work? No, for a long time They didn't. They did lose a lot of games. They started to win a couple down the stretch, and you saw the buy-in from the team. There is nothing like that here right now. Nope. The Jets aren't aggressive. The Jets aren't creative. I don't see an energy from the coach that the team is taking on. I think what the team did today was more self-pride. The defense has been embarrassed for 5 weeks, so they came out with some pride. The special teams got reinforcements. Wanmu made a play, as he usually does. And he was also involved in the punt that they downed as well. So he really made 2 plays, as he does. And Glenn's awareness is as bad as I've seen. It's, when I go back to when I said the Joe Judge comp, he has poor awareness of what his team is, where he's not really aggressive when he has to be. He acts like his team is always as good as the other team. And 9 times out of 10, your team is not right now. Maybe they will next year when you get a couple more of your guys on the roster. Like as much as I kind of kill Muji on this podcast, his trades look really good. Briggs, Harrison Phillips, and Brownlee can play. Like, that's a good sign that you could trade. Because now if you could just be an average drafter and good at trades and not be terrible in free agency, you have a shot at this thing.
Yeah.
Right? But that's going to take time. Glenn is acting like this is the final model with the way they play, and they could be so conservative and safe and scared. And then, like you said, Joe, the one time of the game where it was time to embrace your inner service academy. You could run fullback belly. You could run quarterback sneak. You could run whatever the hell you want. You could have put freaking Mason Taylor under center and had him dive forward for 3 yards on 3 plays in a row. You had to do it. And instead they drop him back. He takes the sack. The ball he threw to Garrett was so late. Garrett still almost made a play on it. The saying that you knew you were getting the ball back after the half as a reason why you played the end of the half is just... So now, because
it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
The way things went last week with Dallas, now you're shell-shocked. You're scarred from that. That is not how this league works. Every week is a new week. You can't be scared from previous weeks. So, man, you got to give these guys a shot. And, I mean, I have no problem with it. But Garrett Wilson essentially, called his own shot in the postgame today, saying, I didn't know the plan. And when I found out the plan, I was disappointed. That's him saying, I don't agree with the staff. And he's right. He's right. You can't even be annoyed because he is so right on. So, man, it's just one of those things where I can't sit on this podcast and be like, well, the Jets were 7.5-point underdogs, so today's results are actually pretty good. No, the Jets lost today in large part because of coaching ineptitude. And Glenn has to show that he's willing to adapt within these situations, whether it's being aggressive when you need to, being conservative when you need to, or pulling the cord on the quarterback that you had no trust in anyway. Watching the offense today reminded me of when Tommy DeVito had to come in against the Jets, and Brian Daboll said, "We are never letting this guy throw the ball. We are
Yep.
never." That's what it was like watching the Jets offense today. And if you feel that way, which you are allowed to feel that way, like there's probably people listening that go, "Well, yeah, Justin Fields stinks at throwing, so okay, then he can't play. Then Tyrod
Yep.
Taylor has to play." That's why Tyrod Taylor is on this roster, as you open the podcast with.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been some moments where Fields has been okay throwing the ball. This was like week 2. He very clearly right away did not have it and was not comfortable and was not going to just pull it and throw the football. So you have to recognize that and say, look, if we're sticking with Justin, he's just running and we're just running him up the middle. And that's how we're going to try to win this game. And they could have gotten away with it if their play calling was better late, or just put Tyrod in, let him throw a couple basic speed outs to Garrett Wilson, and you win the game that way. And you made a shrewd in-game move that helped you win a football game. And then you could say in the press conference, we'll evaluate everything throughout the week and we'll make a decision for next week, instead of acting like it's an insult to have this conversation, which of course it isn't. And again, he makes his life harder and he puts himself in a box now, because if they go back and watch the tape and they're like, Jesus, this was even worse than we thought. And here's Arian Smith wide open. Here's Garrett Wilson wide open. Here's Mason Taylor wide open. Well, he's not going to bench Justin Fields now after he did that whole thing, that whole song and dance with the media. He's going to have to start him again, which I am sure 75% of the locker room now is like, this isn't fair. We think Tyrod could probably give us a better chance to beat Carolina at home. Carolina has now won 2 games in a row and just beat a Dallas team that blew the Jets off the field. So that becomes a thing, and you're going to see more of what you saw from Garrett Wilson today. And Garrett's not perfect. Like, that was a bad throw from Fields. I still like to see Garrett make that catch. I think he would say the same thing. He got his hands on it. But you're going to see more of that energy from the other guys on the team. And it's just Fields' demeanor out there. He's a captain too. Last week we were talking about Sherwood as a defensive captain. Fields is your offensive captain. Like, I don't like, beyond, look, you couldn't throw it today, fine. Don't go down a half a yard before the first down. Don't run out of bounds. Put your head down and run.
Yeah,
and run for 60. Yeah, run for 60 or 70 yards and be like, you know what? I'm just going to do it this way. It's like in basketball when you can't make a shot, just go get rebounds instead. That's how he needed to play, but he looked like he didn't want to get hit today. That's what I saw. That sounds silly because he was holding on the ball for so long, but he didn't want to use his legs in that way. And then I just don't know what he was doing when he was sitting back there. And I still, for the life of me, it reminds me of the Solomon Thomas pass last year. I cannot believe they called a drop back pass on that first down. They had the game won when Brees got that first down. You were right there. Folk has been terrific this season. He's made every kick, yes, including a 58-yarder. Maybe he's missed one, but he's been like money all year. It's a nice field. It's nice weather. I was in the building, great stadium, lovely environment. But man, it's like you're snatching victory. You're just losing a game that was there to be won, which was very, very frustrating to see, because I don't know when that's going to happen again. Like, Carolina and Cincinnati, not as good as Denver, but they may bring a better effort than Denver brought today. And you might not fall on a fumble next week, and you might not get the big kick return. So are you going to go into the bye at 0-8? And unfortunately for Aaron Glenn, and I think you said this at the top, like, I don't think still as of today that Aaron Glenn is going to be fired after 1 year. I think him and Muji sink or swim together. We got some questions. Would they fire one and keep the other? No, I think they'd sink and swim together, and they should sink or swim together. I still think way more likely than not he's back. I'm like 75% they will be back. But the fact that it's 75% and not 99.9% is kind of crazy, because I can't say it's 99.9% when you're 0-6. And when you lose a game like that, it's a national game effectively, and you become a national conversation and a meme for your coaching incompetence. Look at all the memes that were going around at halftime because the Jets don't know how to end the half. And that type of product, that's the stuff that one and dones are made of. I'm not saying I think it's going to end up being one and done, but that's not just a normal loss. Like, it's becoming a national conversation now, how poorly the Jets are coached. And if that continues and they have an ugly one on Thursday night against New England and you're 0-11 and 0-12 and 0-13, how can I say it's 99%? I have to say there's an actual conversation to be had, because there is. How do we act like there isn't?
I mean, what did I ask 2 weeks ago? You have to learn. You have to figure out if you trust these guys with a quarterback that's going to probably be the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 overall pick.
Yep.
And
It's going to be a hard pick. There's no slam dunk decision on who you're picking.
Right now,
it's not like Andrew Luck.
No, and like all quarterbacks in this league, they will need development. And what we are seeing right now is just no signs of an environment or structure that is going to aid that kind of player at the moment right now. So, man, yeah, it's just there's no way around it. It's really tough, but I think emotionally, it's just wild how like his lack of awareness at the end of games. I think I could live with almost all of this. And if at the podium he answered the question like, yeah, you know what, before the half, like we just weren't ready for that scenario, and that's on me. I gotta make sure the guys are ready for that going into the game next week. On Justin Fields, it's my decision. He's going to be the starter going forward. There are things that we could do better schematically to help him, and there are things that he could do better that we believe he's going to do better, and it was a bad game. I didn't go to school for PR. I don't work for an NFL organization. How the fuck can I spit that out in 20 seconds?
This isn't hard.
It's so easy. It's the bare minimum. And that is a representation of the entire organization. The fact that they cannot go above that bar. They cannot go above that bar. It's just, it is embarrassing. There's just no other way to say it. It's embarrassing.
I'll close with this. I spent the last 4 days in London talking to Jet fans from all over the world. I met Jet fans from Amsterdam, from Spain, from Ireland, who live here in London, who are expats here in London, who flew in from San Francisco, who were there from New Jersey, New York, Boston. I met fans from 7, 8 different countries, 10, 12 different states, had plenty of conversations with all of them. Again, everyone was incredible out here. It really is an amazing fan community on so many fronts, which I'll talk more about in the midweek show, the experience, which was really great outside of the last 2 minutes of this game. And I'm telling you, man, this fan base, they want to like Aaron Glenn. They want it to work with Aaron Glenn, but the skepticism that he has generated with these first 6 games is staggering. And like people are like searching for answers and searching for assurance that he can be the guy. And I never lied to people when I talk to them. Like, I don't know right now. I don't know if he can turn it around. And the fact that many people from different places, different backgrounds, been watching the team for 5 years, 50 years, whatever, the fact that it's that much of a conversation topic is a problem for Aaron Glenn. That should not be the case. This team should be 2-4 right now. And if they were 2-4, that'd be perfectly fine. That's what everyone would expect them to be. They could be 5-12 this year and everyone would be fine with it. Being potentially, 2-15, 1-16, people talking about you going 0-17, losing in embarrassing, mismanaged fashion like that, it makes people feel like there's just too deep of a rot and they don't have the confidence. And this fan base isn't going anywhere. These people we're all here. We're all still here. We'll be back here next year if they play here again. But
you record 3 times a week. 3 times a week.
I hope he figures it out, man. I really hope, as I've been saying every week, I hope someone has a hard conversation with him, both from the Jets and both from other parts of his life or coaching history externally. He does not have to approach it this way. He's allowed to learn on the job, but there's that air of like stubbornness and like nastiness. He doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to carry himself this way. Nobody thought the Jets are going to be a playoff team this year. Nobody thought the Jets are going to be over 500. Just be a normal, bad developing team that's showing progress like almost every other team in the league. And it's okay, but you got to take the wins when they're there. And they've given 2 of these away now where, again, you could have had a win over Pittsburgh and Denver at this point. And instead, you're 0-6. So those are my final words. What are your final words?
Yeah, I think the problem is when someone keeps showing you over and over again who they are, eventually you should believe them. And that's why we have gotten on this podcast the last 3 weeks, I would say, and say we are not asking for the Jets to win 6 or 7 games there anymore. We are just asking for things to get a little bit better each week. And I want to be fair. The defense and special teams was better today.
Yep.
But the coaching and offense, I mean, for the most part, it gets a D.
Yep.
Like is that almost like a curve?
Getting worse week over week, not better.
Getting worse week over week. And I just, it's really, really tough. And I'm with you. Like, you got to experience it out there overseas, the fans that come together or the fans that are international or once again, the fans that travel. I was driving off the golf course Thursday morning and somebody screamed to me like, Connor, let's go Jets. I want nothing more than this fan base to have a reason to be energized again. They already are. Honestly, it's people still wake up. No matter the Jets are 0-6, and guess what they'll do Sunday? People at 1 o'clock will, turn on the Jets and they'll be excited and hoping for a win and just give them something. And here's a little spoiler. Like you said, the fan base wants to like the coach. They do. I know it seems like right now, Aaron Glenn, that it's you against the world, that you have chosen that path, and that it's you've been through this with the Jets, and things you had to go through in Detroit, and we get it. But it's not you against the world. There's a lot of people that want to be on your side right now. But if you just push them away over and over and over again, eventually they'll say, you know what? Fuck it. Why should I keep trying? That's how people get eventually. So, I mean, you got to beat the Panthers. The Panthers are not some the Panthers are 3-3.
Yeah.
But once again, you should have beat the Broncos today, who consider themselves a Super Bowl contender. You should have beat the Steelers week 1. You gotta show us something season once again. And even if you don't win, the coaching decisions have to be the right process. I think that's what it comes down to. And we'll have so much more on this game in the middle of the week because I'll watch the tape somehow and we're gonna hear more. And he has been emotional in post-game pressers and then changed the tone a little bit on the Monday press conference before, which that's not really me making an excuse, but there is a chance that the tone of some things changes by the time we record again. And like you said, Joe, we're not going anywhere.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.